NATO's role in protecting civil liberties and human rights activists in Russia. As a military alliance comprised of 30 countries, NATO's main focus is on ensuring the security and defense of its member states. However, the organization also recognizes the importance of upholding and promoting fundamental values such as democracy, the rule of law, and respect for human rights. In recent years, one area where NATO has increasingly taken a stance is in the protection of civil liberties and human rights activists in Russia. Russia has a long-standing history of suppressing dissent and opposition within its borders, particularly against those who speak out against the Kremlin's policies. The government has been known to crack down on protests, censor the media, and detain activists without just cause. This has created a dangerous environment for those who dare to challenge the status quo, and often leads to human rights abuses and civil liberties violations. In recognition of these issues, NATO has taken steps to lend support to those who work towards protecting civil liberties and human rights in Russia. One way in which the organization has done this is through the establishment of the NATO-Russia Council in 2002. This forum provides a platform for dialogue between the two entities and has been used to discuss human rights issues and policies in Russia. Additionally, NATO's Parliamentary Assembly has been vocal in its efforts to advocate for the protection of civil liberties and human rights in Russia. In 2016, following the assassination of prominent Russian human rights activist Boris Nemtsov, the Assembly passed a resolution condemning the crime and calling for a thorough investigation. The resolution also expressed concern for the safety of other activists working in Russia and urged the Russian government to uphold its obligations to protect the rights of its citizens. NATO has also provided support for independent media outlets in Russia, which often face censorship and harassment from the government. In 2017, the organization launched the NATO-Russia Information Exchange Program, which allows for the sharing of information and best practices between journalists and media organizations. The program has been praised for its role in promoting free and independent media in Russia, despite government pressure to the contrary. Finally, NATO has also lent its support to civil society organizations that work towards promoting human rights and democratic values in Russia. This has come in the form of funding and technical support for initiatives such as anti-corruption campaigns, human rights education, and advocacy for political reform. By supporting these organizations, NATO is helping to build a stronger, more resilient civil society in Russia that is better equipped to fight back against human rights violations and civil liberties abuses. Of course, NATO's involvement in protecting civil liberties and human rights activists in Russia is not without its challenges. For one, the organization and its member states are often accused of interference and meddling in Russia's internal affairs, particularly by the Russian government itself. Additionally, some critics argue that NATO's involvement in human rights issues in Russia should be more robust and visible, and that the organization should do more to hold the Russian government accountable for its actions. Despite these challenges, however, NATO's commitment to protecting civil liberties and human rights activists in Russia is an important step forward in the fight for democracy and human rights around the world. By working together with civil society organizations, independent media outlets, and the Russian government itself, NATO can help to promote political reform and democratic values in Russia and create a safer, more just society for all.